My foot is asleep. Oh my god. Hey guys, it's Hannah and today I am doing my, what month is this? September wrap up and October TBR. A little into October, I know. Do we have to address this every time? I technically don't. All things considering, I had a pretty decent reading month in September. Wasn't the best. Wasn't that bad though. I read 4 books. That's pretty darn good. And yeah, that's all I have to say in that regard. So let's just jump in. Check that, I read 5 books. 6. Wait, okay, here's a question. Does your Goodreads do this thing where like on your phone it shows you all the books you read in the order you read them? When you check your bookshelves on your laptop, it like sometimes misses books or doesn't show you or shows them in a different order? Because mine does. And I was on my laptop checking the books I read, and then I come onto my phone and it's like, oh yeah, I read that. Oh yeah, I read that. They don't show up when I go on the desktop. Is it just because I always update from my phone? Is that what? I don't know. But I read 6 books in the month of September. That's so much better. That's actually a really good month. Okay, feeling better. Anyway, so the first book I read in the month of September was A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. This book is absolutely fantastic. It is about Bill Bryson, and he decides one day, for some reason, to walk the Appalachian Trail, which is the longest hiking trail in America, I believe. He just kind of documents that experience, and it is to die for. What hooked me? First of all, I should start with why I picked this book up. Well, as you might have noticed, I've been getting more into like the nature kind of books, and so this is a nature kind of book. So that's one reason. But the main reason I picked it up is I was in Maine. I'll leave Maine videos linked if you want to go watch those. But I was in Maine. We're in this one bookstore. It was called the Two Brothers Bookstore, and I found the book called A Walk in the Woods. And there's a bear on the cover, and it sounded interesting. I was like, I'm gonna read this. And I didn't buy it there because it was like $6 for a pretty meh copy, and I'm not about that life. But I did put it in my Goodreads. I did get it from my library, and I loved it. So good. So here's the funny thing. What got me to read the book was the bear on the cover. And then what like hooked me in the story, like it starts off great. Like Bill Bryson's tone and writing style is just to die for. It has a very Douglas Adams tone to it, which is probably part of the reason I liked it so much. Like it's a lot different than Douglas Adams, obviously, but his kind of tone is the same, if that makes sense. I'm not quite sure if it does, but loved it. Anyway, I digress. The moment that hooked me on the book was when he was going on this little like rant about bears and like what you should do when you see a bear in the wild, and how these people were like obviously writing down what to do from like behind a desk on a computer, because do you really be thinking that clearly if you saw a bear? And it hooked me. I loved it, and the whole thing was just great, and I loved it. Highly recommend it. It was great. The next book, however, was not great, and this one was trying to be like Douglas Adams but failed miserably, and that is The 13.5 Lives of Captain Blue Bear, a novel by Walter Moores. This book I bought in Maine, and I got it because there's a bear, but it says equal parts J.K. Rowling, Douglas Adams, and Shel Silverstein, which if you don't know, he's like a kid poet. Fantastic. This book is about a blue bear and his life and his 13 lives, and it's so boring. So boring. That's literally all the description I can give you. I actually seen after this book about 250-300 pages, and I think is when I stopped because I just couldn't anymore. It reads like a list. The whole thing is just, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. There's no to little dialogue. It's just very boring, and you never care really about what happens to Blue Bear because you never get to know Blue Bear. And I feel like this might have been okay if it had been a good like 400 pages shorter. This is just too much. And it has cool illustrations inside, and it's like written in a really cool way, but like it's not good. Very boring. I was very disappointed. It's like if he was trying to get on the Douglas Adams bandwagon, but he just couldn't do it. And apparently there's like another one in a series, I think I heard. I'm good, thanks. I really wanted to like this, but I didn't. I didn't even finish it, but like I feel like I read enough of it and got enough of the gist of it that I can still say. Because like sometimes if I DNF a book like really quick into it, I won't mark it as read, I won't mark it as bad. Like I started reading Vengeance Road, I don't remember the author. I never really mentioned that on Goodreads or anything because I didn't get that far into it. But this one, I dedicated a whole week into this honker and I still didn't finish it, but I read enough of it that I'm like, I'm good. I feel like I have a right to be like, it's bad, even though I didn't actually finish it. Does that make sense? The next book I read was Going Rogue by Robin Benway. This is the second book in the also known as series, I guess. I think it's just a duology, but I'm not sure. This book is about a girl who is a teenage spy. Her parents are both spies and they all work for this secret organization called the Collective. And in the first book, she has to like infiltrate this high school to become buddy buddies with the son of, is he the mayor? He's some kind of high up dude, because he might have information to expose the Collective. In the second book, there's like a whole nother situation going on. Basically, these books are just a fun time. They're nothing like jaw-dropping plot. There's nothing like just overly amazing about them, but they are just a all-around good time. Like, I love reading them. They're so fun to read, and I highly recommend them if you're just wanting something to be fun, especially if you are stressed about everything that's going on right now, like I am. This would be a great book to pick up because it's a good time. That's all it is. It'll make you feel better. It'll make you be happy for the time that you read it, and it won't even take you that long to read it. I love it. The characters are hilarious. The dialogue, it honestly makes me laugh out loud sometimes. Highly recommend. And I think I liked the second one better than the first one, although they're both fantastic. But yeah, I really liked the second one. It was great. The next book I read was The Anatomical Shape of the Heart by Jen Bennett. This book is about a girl who wants to draw anatomically correct body parts for science. Like, that's her desired job. And she ends up meeting this dude who she finds out, I don't think that's a spoiler, and it's about them becoming friends and maybe more. And I was very bored, but that's not the main reason I didn't love it. It was just so dramatic and over the top, like a lot of the times. Like, Jen Bennett, she does great representation, has great everything else essentially, but like this was just not my kind of book because it was too dramatic, too over the top. If this were a rom-com, I'd be like groaning and covering my eyes all the time, which I do a lot in rom-coms, fun fact. Just too many things where I'm just like, I don't enjoy reading this just because it's not my cup of tea. And I'm not like trying to put it lightly because I love some of Jen Bennett's other books. Like, I genuinely think a lot of people will like this book, but it's just not my kind of book, so I did not like this book. It was just too much. It was just too much, and I didn't enjoy reading it. I just wanted to get it over with. So yeah, that's that book. The next book I read is so good. Two Dark Reigns by Kendara Blake. This book is the third in a, what do you call a 4-book series? A quartet? But this series is about these 3 queens who are sisters, and they have to battle to the death for the throne of their little island country. And it is a fantastic series, and this is by far my favorite book in the series. I'd have to say, I actually have a vlog where I read it. I'll leave that linked. I also have a vlog where I read some of my other recent reads, so I'll leave both of those linked. This book was just fantastic. The plot was fantastic. The characters were amazing. And her pacing, like, I can't get over her pacing. I feel like most of what I've talked about with this book is her pacing, but it's just brilliant. It's like a nice steady pace. Stuff is happening. You're always engaged, but it's like a steady, I describe it as like you're just paddling along in a little canoe, and then you hit the rapids, you hit the action, and she just makes the chapters shorter, but just the way she writes it so you feel like it's happening faster as well as the stuff is happening fast. I don't think that made sense, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you're suddenly like in the rapids, and it's just, it's so good. I'm not doing a very good job of describing it, but it's so good. I need to stop talking now. Anyway, highly recommend. 10 out of 10 recommend. It's fantastic. I loved it because I feel like all the characters have come into their own, and oof, some of them, oh, just so good. And the final book I read in the month of September was O'Keeffe Days in a Life by C.S. Merrill. This book, if you have been following me for a while, you know that one of my new all-time favorite books is Weekends with O'Keeffe by C.S. Merrill. C.S. Merrill went to work for Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter, for about 5-ish years, and she wrote a diary while she was doing it, and she published that into Weekends with O'Keeffe. But while she was there, she was also writing poetry, and so this is her poetry collection from when she was working with Georgia O'Keeffe, and it was fantastic. I describe it as it's like being back in that world because I'm reading about Georgia O'Keeffe again, and I'm reading it from C.S. Merrill's point of view again. And so it was like I was back in a world, even though it's like non-fiction, but it had that same tone, that same vibe that I just loved from Weekends with O'Keeffe. So it felt like I was like revisiting a place. It was also kind of like, and don't take this as like to degrade it, but it was kind of like a Spark Notes of Weekends with O'Keeffe, in the sense that a lot of the stuff that happened in Weekends with O'Keefe, she wrote a poem about it. And so like I was reading Weekends with O'Keefe again, but just more sporadically and in shorter chunks. Does that make sense? But I loved it. It was so good. And it's amazing to me how her writing style and her poetry have such similar tones to them. Like you can tell it's C.S. Merrill just because by the way she writes. It was really cool. I loved it. Highly recommend. If you read this, you have to read Weekends with O'Keefe, and if you read Weekends with O'Keefe, you have to read this. Like they just go together, and they go together so well. You have to read them. They're so good. So October TBR. I haven't finished a book in October yet, but I'm currently reading Queens of Finburn, and I'm literally almost done. It is so good. I'm loving it. I'll talk about it more later, but just know, fantastic. Next, I'm thinking of reading. So first off, I was going to read The Forgetting Tree, a re-memory by someone. Here's a picture. Because I ordered it, the author's going to be at the Texas Book Festival, and I was like, you know what? This sounds good. I might try it out. But I sent it to my house instead of here, my apartment. So I won't be getting that until this weekend, which honestly is coming up pretty soon. So like it's fine, but it's just kind of annoying. What I'm planning on reading next now is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This book is about two people who are friends and then enemies, and there's like superpowers, and that's all I know. V.E. Schwab is going to be at the Texas Book Festival, and I've been meaning to read some of her books for the longest time, and I haven't yet. And so since I own this one, I figured I might as well. I think I might be finally diving in to V.E. Schwab. My plan as of right now is to start it right after I finish The Queens of Finburn, which will be today. Like there's no way I'm not gonna finish it today. This is my plan to read next. I'm excited but also nervous because everybody seems to love it and it sounds like the kind of book that I should love, but we all know that And Never in the Ashes sounds like the kind of book I should love, and I don't. So I'm hoping I love it. My memory card ran out of space, so I don't know where I got cut off, but basically nervous and excited to read it. Nervous that I won't love it as much as everybody else does. Excited because I hope I love it as much as everybody else does. There you go. Okay, I'm done anyway. You could have waited a few more seconds. So that is it. My phone fell. So that is it for this video. Comment down below and let me know if you have read Vicious by V.E. Schwab, what you thought. Do you think I'm gonna like it? Think I might be meh about it? Also comment down below and let me know if there is a book that you bought because it was supposed to be similar to a favorite author and then you were just disappointed by it. Also, is there a book you read that it reminded you of your favorite author even though it shouldn't or wasn't supposed to, because it's like completely different, but like it does. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see y'all again in another one soon.